Tonight, I will be discussing reincarnation around the world. I will explain how reincarnation is practiced in each continent and the religions that are influenced by it. So, first off, what is reincarnation? Most of you were not here for the one I did a year ago because we did it at Shame Us, and it also was not recorded. But so a lot of this will be repetitive to the few people that were there, and there's a lot of it to be new information. So, for those that were not here for it, in a nutshell, reincarnation is when a person or animal or other being or entity is believed to have been reborn. This is also referred to as past lives, which is when a previous life was said to have been lived in a different body, time, or place. Asia. I will start by explaining reincarnation based on the beliefs of Asia. The main religions in Asia are Islam and Hinduism. In Islam, while the Quran rejects the concept of reincarnation, it does recognize and preach the existence of the soul. The principal belief in Islam is that there's only one birth on this earth, and that upon death there's judgment, and we will all go to hell or be unified with God or Allah. Some Islamics do believe in reincarnation, but in general, most do not. In Hinduism, however, they do believe in reincarnation. Reincarnation, or samsara, in Hinduism, also known as the transmigration of souls, refers to the belief that at the Atman, the real or core self, lives on after death and takes on a new body. Thus, a single soul will live in a succession of existences in different forms, but it is of itself eternal. Hindus believe that each human has a soul which passes through a long cycle of existence, occupying different bodies and experiencing repeated deaths, births, and rebirths. It is believed that where and when you are born is decided by the laws of karma. And karma follows you in each life. In Hinduism, the soul or Atman is eternal, and the body is simply just a vessel. The soul begins in more primitive life forms, like unicellular organisms, going on into more complex life. Human life takes a lot of time to obtain, and is a privilege that as they are the only beings capable of consciously doing good or evil. The goal is to break this cycle. Hindus believe that time is not linear, and you can be reborn at any time, past or present. Some Hindus believe that all the beings in this universe might be reincarnations of one soul at different points in its spiritual journey, and that a universe exists for each soul. They believe in heaven and hell, but not of the Christian sense. According to Hindu texts, the Puranas, there are 14 works in the universe. 7 upper, which would be their equivalent of heaven, and 7 lower, which would be their equivalent of hell, found in contrasting times and space. After death, depending on karma, souls spend time in one of the worlds and then reincarnate depending on their desires and of course, their karma. Next one is Antarctica. Unbelievably, there is an official religion in Antarctica. The official religion is Christianity. In relation to reincarnation is the early Gnostic Christians of the first centuries, the Manichaeans, and other esoterics who believed in the belief of reincarnation of the soul. Like the yogis of India, the Gnostics believed that reincarnation of the Hagnamandi materials contain a conversation between Jesus and his brother James, in which Jesus explains what we need to hold our awareness at the time of death to escape the wheel of rebirth. We should say to ourselves, I came from eternity to learn the difference between things that exist in a matter and those that exist in spirit. I have learned the matter exists in spirit. I call upon this imperishable divine knowledge to save me. If you can hold this saving knowledge in your mind, Jesus promises, you will be free to ascend into the kingdom of light, which is in fact your own divine right. Jesus then goes on to explicitly tell James, free yourself from the blind idea that you are merely the body of flesh which encases you. Then you will no longer be the mortal James, rather you are the one who eternally is. And later the Nag Hammadi in the Nag Hammadi, the disciples asked Jesus, who is the one who seeks and who is the one who reveals? Jesus answers, the one who seeks is the one who reveals. That which you seek is within you. He says again, the living God dwells in you and you dwell in him. When the apostle Matthew begs Jesus to show him the divine reality, Jesus says, each one of you who has known himself has already seen it. These are also the parts of the Bible that are usually eliminated from the modern. I've done a lot of research.
How coincidental.
That's why you don't see a whole lot of Gnostic Christians anymore. Those are usually the early Christians that were actually persecuted because they didn't want to believe what the truth was. But I'm off on that.
Another class.
Another class dedicated. Okay, Africa. The main three religions in Africa are Islam, Christianity, and Igbo. Having originated out of Nigeria, since I already spoke about Islam and Christianity, the Igbo are one of the main African religions that believe in reincarnation. They believe that reincarnation usually occurs within the same immediate or extended family. They try to identify the reincarnated ancestor by means of birthmarks, statements a child makes or when it becomes able to speak, and the behavioral resemblances between the child and the deceased person of whom it is presumed reincarnation. Oracles are frequently consulted to make or confirm an identification. The Igbo believe that the deceased persons inhabit a discarnate realm, but they conceive this is an undesirable limbo from which discarnate souls are eager to return to a new terrestrial life. The Igbo concept of reincarnation includes belief in a group of souls called the Oganji, who are born, die early in life, and are reborn to the same family, often repeatedly. So it's usually like if a child dies or an infant dies, in early infancy or whatever, they technically didn't get to live their full life, so they are reincarnated into the same family to be able to live that fulfilled life. And then, and then the next one is Australia. And the religion in Australia that believes in reincarnation is called the Divine Truth. It's a controversial new religious movement based in Queensland, Australia, taught by Alan John Miller, who claims to be the reincarnation of Jesus of Nazareth, and his partner, Mary Suzanne Luck. Exactly. Who claims to be the reincarnation of Mary Magdalene.
Who?
His wife,
Mary Magdalene.
but
His partner.
His partner. Okay.
Yes.
That also depends on the text as well.
Listen.
We're not here to judge. We're not here to
Yes.
judge.
However, sorry. However, the couple describe divine truth as non-religious. They are often viewed as running a religious cult by critics. Miller claims that divine truth is God's truth, which is the absolute truth, about the universe, everything inside it, from the perspective of God himself. He defines divine truth as non-religious, saying that it is always logical, it is always scientific in its nature, and it is always mathematical in its nature. It is always based, but not in human reality. It is the reality of God, how God sees everything. Miller teaches that he has discovered that it through formal personal relationship with God, and he teaches that divine truth can be discovered by any person through the same process. Whether you take that information with whatever you take, take that. That's all I'm gonna say about that. I had to write it, so.
His name was Alan Joe Miller.
Yeah, Alan John Miller.
John.
Yes. AOHN.
Not to be confused with any Leos.
Exactly.
He's an Australian.
Yes, Queensland, Australia.
He's an Australian.
Yes. I watched videos on it. To get, scientific information. It had a really kind of hostile vibe to it when I was reading it.
Question, do they have any, the local native tribes are in Australia, do they have any concept of reincarnation that?
Not really. Not really, because the Aborigines didn't really have that concept. Not that or it's just not stuff that was written down. That we may not, because I tried looking for that, but I also thought in my head, it's kind of like when I was doing Africa, a lot of that stuff is oral based, and so you wouldn't really have it written down per se. It'd be passed down through generational lines, and so there may be.
Close practices as well.
Exactly. So there may be information on it, but whether or not it's actually publicly known, we may never know.
Google doesn't have it yet.
Exactly.
Well, maybe we have to do
Yeah,
a
Google
trip over
doesn't
there
have it.
and try to figure it out.
See, listen, if it's not on Google, it's not okay.
Okay. Next continent.
Yes. North America. Among the Native Americans of North America, the concept of reincarnation is found in many tribes. The two main tribes that believed in reincarnation are the Sioux and the Navajo. For them, at the time of death, family, friends, and neighbors would gather around the person, and they would show respect and appreciation for the relationship by being beside them to say farewell. Once all is there, the dying person lets go. They believe death is but a transitional period, and that their energy is released into the world to become once again part of nature. The year following the death is a trial period for the family. The bereft must strive to be toward exemplary behavior. And there wasn't a whole lot on it. It was probably for the same reason as as Africa and all that. There was just not a lot written down.
It's also a lot of closed park.
Yeah.
Too, so
I kind of
You're
figured
not-
that much too.
you're not gonna find it.
I found what I could find. So that's what I did. Without having it be kind of cheesy, you could find it in your history book kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So that I was expecting that in a very, so I went in with that knowing I'm gonna find very little. So I was like, whatever I could find, I found. Kind of like having an open mind to those things. Okay. South America. The religion in South America that believes in reincarnation is the Umbanda. The Umbanda is a religion that emerged in Brazil in the 1920s. Deriving from spiritualism, it also combines elements from Afro-Brazilian traditions like the Cambomdi, as well as Roman Catholicism. Umbanda teaches a complex cosmology rooted in spiritual evolution through a system of reincarnation according to the law of karma. Umbanda teaches that everyone has a spirit that survives bodily death. Umbandistas sometimes refer refer to living people as espíritus encarnados, incarnate spirits. Budistas typically believe that each person is a perispirit, a transparent membrane around the body that mediates between the body and the soul. They believe the spirit survives bodily death and on successive reincarnations seek even higher levels of spiritual evolution. Everyone is subject to karma, and a person can spiritually evolve through their reincarnations. Practitioners believe that by serving the spirits and assisting the living, they can build up their karma credit. The higher a person's karma credit, the higher their level on the astral plane. Excuse me. And the better the status of their next reincarnation. They also believe that the disincarnate spirits can also build up karmic credit. Practitioners sometimes believe that the events of incarnations can influence a person, for instance, generating certain irrational fears. Some think that the same spirits can meet repeatedly over successive reincarnations. Europe. I have a lot of information on this one. Believe it or not. Reincarnation in Europe is among the Germanic paganism. Rebirth is suggested in some sagas as the Sachter and Olaf Gerson Olaf, which is directly associated with the entry into the deceased burial mound. Also the belief of the destruction of the world and Ragnarok and its subsequent rebirth. As described in Volksbach and Galtmaning, it is seen as a cycle, and one that Kruger would pass into the body of a reborn relative, while once Harmanja continues on in a family at large, and one Frida seems to have case to exist at the person's death.
Hmm.
Like I said, a lot of these I had a lot of information on, some of them very little. But I tried my best.